Tonight's quilt starts from the center out. We're gonna piece rows of half square triangles as we go. This whole thing is half square triangles. I am trying to become at peace with the piecing, one with the piecing. There's just so many half square triangles. Fat quarter, fat quarter. So tonight's quilt, I'm gonna be using some beautiful ombre fabric, which is just as calming to me as a beautiful Zen garden. And I'm using this stack of gorgeous, luscious colors to cut and make into a lot of half square triangles. But the good thing is, some are small, but some are nice and big. So I'm getting ready to embrace my inner half square triangle. Of course, as us quilters know, the best kind of therapy is not playing with sand, it's fondling fabric. And here we have so many beautiful shades. There are 10 different colors in here, which I think is gonna make a quilt top that's gonna sparkle. Okay, now that I've had the appropriate amount of time to admire all these beautiful colors, let's cut them up into squares so we can begin piecing this Singularity quilt. I'm getting ready to start cutting all my beautiful fabric, but I've read that having plants can be a stress reliever. Although I feel like this plant looks just as stressed out as I am. It's gonna be fine though. So he's gonna be here to cheer me on as I start cutting my fabrics. Now I have them divided into two piles. I have a darker and a lighter pile. So this pattern uses 4 sizes of half square triangles, from really, really teeny to nice and big. So I'm gonna start out by cutting my strips of different widths. So it's not that this pattern is difficult, it's not, it's just half square triangles. It's just that quilting, the machine quilting, is my stress relief. So the thought of doing so many blocks is a little overwhelming, but I think it's gonna turn out really good. So I think if I can stay calm, it's gonna be amazing. So now that I have 4 different size squares, it's time to turn them into 4 different sizes of half square triangles. So let's get to it. So I'm gonna make half square triangles using the 2 at a time technique, where I have drawn a line from one corner to the opposite corner, and I'm gonna pair it right sides together with another square. Like that. These are gonna make some teeny, teeny half square triangles. Then I'm gonna sew a 1/4 inch on each side and repeat a couple more times till I have a bunch of different half square triangles in different sizes. Oh, and one thing that has me just as excited as all these half square triangles is a new quilt along I have coming out. It's the Glorious Dawn quilt along, and we'll be making X blocks, O blocks, star blocks, all in a beautiful arrangement in a bunch of different sizes. So be sure to check that out because I think it's going to be really fun. All right, all that's left to do is to sew a line on the other side, then I can start cutting them apart. Now it's time to separate them. They're no longer one with each other. Your piecing is great. Perfection is not required. Close enough is good enough. Be one with the piecing. Be one with the piecing. Be one with the piecing. I love this. It's fine. It'll be fine. It's not gonna be fine. Nothing is ever fine. I love to piece. It's the best part. It's not as fun as quilting, but that's okay. It's not its fault. It's great. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fat quarter. Fat quarter. Okay. Okay, I have a half square triangle trimmed in each of the 4 sizes that we make in our quilt. This one is nice and big, but it gets smaller quickly from there. So the 4 different sizes, including this teeny, teeny, little bitty, tiny half square triangle. So I have a lot more half square triangles to trim, but I'll be back as soon as I'm done to show you how the center of our quilt comes together. So we're gonna make the very center of our quilt, where everything begins from, using these itty bitty half square triangles. And it's gonna start with a pinwheel. And the pinwheel is just 4 half square triangles sewn together so that they change direction. and it's very relaxed. I mean, you can play around with the color placement, find the one that you like. Let's see, maybe I'll do this one over here. That looks pretty. Crazy to think that our whole big quilt is gonna start with these 4 little blocks, but I'm gonna sew them together in groups of 2 and then sew the rows together until I have my pinwheel. So now my center is complete, and I'm gonna grow from here by just adding more half square triangles around the outside to make a slightly bigger block. So my inner zen is really having fun. This is great. Because what I've done is flipped these 2 blocks right here. And I know it probably wouldn't be noticeable, especially after I quilt it, but what I'm gonna do is go ahead and take them out and switch them around. So where these darks come together here, those darks should be flipped. So good learning point to make sure you pay attention to the color placement. I'm just glad I caught it before I got the whole quilt done. So once I get switched, I can start adding these other little pieces that I've made using those same teeny tiny half square triangles to make my block even bigger. Keeping in mind that the darker triangles should be pointing away from the center. So I have the center fixed and the outside strips ready to go in the correct arrangement this time. I'm really becoming at one with piecing. It's fantastic. Now I'm going to sew it together by sewing on the sides and the top and bottom, so I have my next step finished. So cute and so little. Okay, so I've got the next row ready to go to sew to the center, and more of the same cute little half square triangles. All right, so I'm gonna sew them to the sides, sew them to the top and the bottom, and we'll see the next step in this come together. Okay, that's a lot of little half square triangles. I only have a few more rows to go, and then I get to move up to the bigger size. So I'm finally done piecing with all my teeny tiny half square triangles, and I'm ready to start bringing in the bigger ones, and I feel like I'm finally at peace with piecing. Anytime I feel the least bit of stress or pressure, I just get another plant, and I can just spray it, because it's so relaxing to just water the plants. See? I feel so much better already. Okay, now I'm gonna get the next size half square triangle, and we'll add another row. Yay! So while piecing itty bitty half square triangles might not be my thing, I am loving how the bigger half square triangles are really making the secondary effect come out. So I'm adding rows on each side of the different sizes and different color placements using the pattern as a guide, so be sure to do that. Which can get a little tricky because with ombres, some lights are darks and some darks are lights, but it's fine, it's totally fine. So I'm gonna start piecing this from the center out, just like I've been doing so far. So I've moved from the smallest to the little ones to the slightly bigger, and now I'm moving to the even bigger half square triangles. I'm gonna lay out these rows and finish the quilt. I'm finally at peace with the piecing because I know what's coming up next, the machine quilting, which is my favorite part. So I'm gonna get this quilt basted and I'll see you there. The stunning colors of this quilt are gonna look even better when they're machine quilted, but since there's a lot of seams in here and some of them are just a little bulky, I'm gonna use a soft all-over design that's really gonna help me creatively avoid those areas while doing something nice and dense in the center, which will really help show off all those tiny half square triangles that I pieced. So let's get to it. So in the center of the quilt, I'm quilting some really tight swirls. So I'm gonna start by quilting a line that swirls out and echoing my way back around, building up the density of that design, trying to keep the lines pretty close. And then when I'm ready to move on to my next one, I'm just gonna quilt a line that curls out, another little curl, and echo around several times really to build it up. I'm using a free motion quilting foot that has more of a hopping motion that's helping me glide over those bulky seams and making it a lot easier. However, doing a design this dense over the whole quilt will definitely make me lose one with myself. So what I'm gonna do is switch to a bigger, more fluid design as I work my way out of the quilt. So as the blocks get bigger, my design's gonna get bigger. I'm gonna show you just how easy it is to quilt. So for this next design, I'm gonna quilt a line that curls in on itself, kind of like a swirl. But instead of echoing my way back out, I'm gonna quilt a wavy line that kind of echoes the shape I've just quilted until I run out of space. So as soon as I'm ready to quilt my next line, I'm just gonna hop up here, add another wavy line, and continue quilting these wavy echo lines until I'm ready to add my next wavy, flowery, kind of swirly design. What's so nice about it is the quilting is gonna be just like the piecing. It'll take a little bit longer in the center, but by the time I get to the outside, it's gonna be quick, quick, quick. So I'm gonna get it finished up and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. So this quilt may not have started off the best with a few piecing errors that I made, but now it's finally finished and I'm glad I stuck with it. The ombre fabrics pieced in half square triangles of different sizes really draws your eye to the center of the quilt, and I had so much fun highlighting that with the quilting, with a design that got a lot easier as I worked my way towards the outside of the quilt. Plus, who can't resist a light orange thread whenever you get the chance to use it? Thank you so much for joining me on my personal quilting journey. And remember, the next time you're quilting and you get stressed, remember the mantra, fat quarter. And while you're at it, don't forget, I have that quilt along coming. It's gonna be the Glorious Dawn quilt along where we make an adorable quilt with all sorts of fun blocks. So check out the description box below for information about that. And I'll see you next time here on the Midnight Quilt Show.